This is an interesting one because over the festive period, I did some drive shows here on BBC Radio Kent, some drive time shows between 2 and 6. So thank you for joining me for those. Very much enjoyed it, doing some 4-hour shows and spending a different time with you. And I spoke to Dr. Mansoor Soomro. He's the Innovation and Enterprise Lead at Future of Work Research Centre at Teesside University about the 4-day working week. And there's been some research concluded on that about maybe looking to make it policy. It seems that it worked quite well. They do it in Denmark as well, the 4-day working week. So 4 on and then 3 off, and you have a slightly longer working day. The idea at addressing the sort of work-life balance. And it was such an interesting conversation. It really was. And Dr. Mansoor Soomro is very much a champion of that. He really likes the idea of it. So what he's done after that, he's uploaded something to us, which is a great idea. And it's a video, but we'll have it in audio. He shares his story of the paradox of whether one should be a specialist in something or a generalist from a personal and organisational point of view. And I think that's really interesting. Many of us think in our lives and in our work and in our hobbies and our crafts in general, should we be really good at one thing, or should we be kind of competent at everything, a jack of all trades? So let's have a listen to it. It's Dr. Mansoor Soomro from Teesside University with his upload, Specialist versus Generalist.
I often wonder, is it better to be a specialist or a generalist? In primary school, my report cards were appalling, and my parent-teacher meetings were horror stories. When I was in class 4, my mother looked at me and said, "You have almost failed at maths." So I worked on it and got better at maths. The next year she said, "You have terrible grades in science." 2 years later, my academic results were better. Then my mother said, "You need to do well in sports too." What did they want from me? What did I want for myself? As I grew, both in age and size, I decided for myself that success lies in being a generalist. If you are good in multiple areas, like my mother wanted me to be, an all-rounder, then success will be yours. So I worked hard, survived school and university, and landed my first job at the company Siemens. The first question my manager asked was, "What is one thing you are really good at?" "Business," I said. He said, "You didn't quite get me. What one thing in business, like marketing, HR, finance, IT, supply chain, etc.?" At this point, I realized, what if I had got it wrong? What if true success is actually being a specialist, knowing your craft in detail in a narrow field? I was confused. Again. My father was a doctor. What would he say? He said, "At first you study general stuff about medicine, you become a general physician, and then you specialize in one area and you become a specialist." I could relate to this, as I completed my PhD in business, focusing on a very specialized topic, whereas my bachelor's and master's covered broad areas. So maybe, yes, success means going from being a generalist to being a specialist. But going from a specialist to a generalist also makes sense. For example, in terms of human resources, an employee with multiple skills will be preferred. So, maybe I was right at primary school that real success lies in transforming from being a specialist to a generalist. Now, my research is looking at this ball of confusion from an organizational point of view. Just like us, organizations first developed a single core competency, something that they are really good at. When organizations grow, they expand their competencies and develop multiple core competencies. I am still growing, both in age and size. I'm not sure I ever figured out which path leads to success for the individual, and I'm still exploring what it means for organizations. Does success lie in being a generalist or a specialist? I'm still wondering. What do you think?
Very interesting in every walk of life, really. Specialist versus Generalist by Dr. Mansoor Soomro, the Innovation and Enterprise Lead, Future of Work Research Centre at Teesside University. He uploaded that to us, which is lovely, after us having a chat, actually, over the festive period about the 4-day working week and the trials that they've been doing and looking to perhaps implement those. Interesting. Specialist versus Generalist within our industry as well. So the backside of this is really, obviously, I'm the presenter here, but I do some production as well. I've worked across all the production teams, I think, at this station and others as well. I've worked on the Drive Time show, setting up guests and editing audio, whatever, and I brought those skills, they are skills, into this job as well. I do a lot of that as well, myself and the production team here. I think that's kind of important. And then you look to specialise in one thing, don't you, really? So I don't really know. I think you do need to specialise, but generalising to have certain skills that you can kind of cherry pick to use. And skills are very cross-transferable as well, aren't they, across many workplaces. Same goes for your personality. What is it you want to get very, very good at? It's an ongoing debate. It really is. Thank you so much indeed, Dr. Mansoor Soomro, for giving us that little insight into what you think about it. What do you think? Interesting. Let's have a track whilst you mull it.
This is how it always goes.